Thunderbolt device has been connected.
Cheerio there. Now, the TS453B was my favourite for Bay NAS. It's the one I recommend, it's the one I think is the best until now. This TS453B T3, and that's the difference. The other one's 453B. This is 453B T3. Now this one here is special. Now I will tag onto this video the review of the 453B. In almost every other way it's exactly the same. I will tell you the differences between the two, but there's no need for me to review this completely again. I will just tell you the differences and leave the review for the 453B at the end of this video, and with a link in the description down there near the like and subscribe button. So for me, this is a game changer here. This to me promises to be able to edit 4K content straight off the NAS. That's why it's important for me, but can it actually do that? Let's find out the differences between the 453B and the T3 and see if we can actually edit 4K content straight off the NAS. Okay, before we get into that very important question, can you actually use this to edit 4K content with your project files on this? I just want to tell you the differences between the TS453B and the TS453B T3. Now this is the T3, and the differences are this comes with standard 8GB of RAM, whereas the 453B has 4 or the option of 8GB, and this model here comes with 2 Thunderbolt ports. Now, even though there's a Thunderbolt 3, it is important to know that they actually run through 10GB Ethernet. So they're actually just 10GB Ethernet run through a Thunderbolt 3 interface. So what this means is you're not going to get the full Thunderbolt 3 speed. You're only going to get the maximum speed of 10GB Ethernet. And this little piece of hardware here, this 10GB Ethernet add-in card, which you actually can put in the 453B, but that is an option. It comes standard with this one, and it is a game changer. 10GB Ethernet is what we should all be using now. Just gigabit Ethernet is so slow. I know that because I only got a gigabit Ethernet NAS, and definitely this is what I would buy. Is it worth the price differences between the two? Because this is expensive. I would say if you got the money, buy this one. Otherwise, if you're on a budget, yeah, maybe the 453B will be the better option than the 453B T3 if you're on that budget. But otherwise, I'd get this because you get this NIC included, and you get the Thunderbolt 3 ports and 8GB standard. Now this thing here is not just a 10GB Ethernet add-in card. It is also able to put 2 M.2 SSDs in here. Now you use them for caching or for putting the most used data there. And I think you can actually make a data pool out of these SSDs. This is best for when you have hard drives in here instead of SSDs. If you've got a RAID 5 or something like that, if you put these M.2 SSDs in here, you can use it for cache, and it will have that super fast responsive feel of an SSD rather than hard drives. It is expensive, but you can see where the money goes. Now it's easy to access this card here. It actually goes here, it just slides in there, 3 screws, take it off, slide it off. It's so easy to actually put the SSDs in there. Or if you actually just have the 453B model, yeah, you can just buy one of these and add that in. But of course, you're not going to get the Thunderbolt 3. So as I said, I will tag on the review of the 453B at the end of this video. I've told you the differences now. In all other aspects, it's exactly the same. So that review stands for this, except that the 453B does have USB here instead of Thunderbolt. So check out that review after this, after we see the most important thing to me, can this edit 4K content straight off the NAS? Okay, so finally the day is here. Where now, hopefully, we can edit 4K content straight off the NAS using the Thunderbolt 3 connection of this QNAP TS453B T3. Now this is a game changer, this thing. It comes with 10GB Ethernet, also 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. Now the Thunderbolt 3 ports, it's important to know that they are actually mapped through the 10GB Ethernet. So you're not going to get the full Thunderbolt 3 speed, which is basically the 10GB Ethernet speed is around SATA speed. So first things first, you do have to have a Thunderbolt cable. And you do not use a USB-C cable with this, it has to be Thunderbolt 3. Now look how short that is, okay? That cable is tiny. Now that is the official spec of Thunderbolt 3. If you have a cable that's longer than that, it's not in spec. You will get less transfer speed, you'll have maybe problems. You need to get a specific Thunderbolt 3 cable. Now, it probably may be possible to use a USB-C cable. It might work, but it's not going to be within spec. You cannot have one longer than that. Unfortunately, that's the limitation of Thunderbolt 3. And if you want to know more about Thunderbolt 3, I'll leave you to Ashley Perrin's video on Thunderbolt 3. She explains it the best out of anyone. So unfortunately, that means you have to be close. So me personally, if I was going to be using this NAS for video editing, I would probably connect to the 10 gigabit Ethernet and edit that way, because that way I can have the NAS in another room. But if you do have your NAS right next to your machine, well, it's fine to do this. Now let's see if we can edit some 4K content straight off the NAS with the Thunderbolt 3 connection. To say I have been waiting a long time for this is an understatement. Okay, we are connected.
Thunderbolt device has been connected.
There you go. Thunderbolt 3 device has indeed been connected. Okay, so let's dive into the NAS here, and I'll open this project here, which will be this one here. Okay, and we'll have a look. Can I edit 4K content off this? First, I'll actually do a speed test. So I have an SSD in here. As I said before, pretty much you'll saturate SATA. Pretty much get the speeds of what a SATA SSD will give you. Now let's actually test the speed of this NAS. So it's just one SSD in here. If you want, you can put a whole bunch of SSDs in here and you can have them in RAID 0. Let's select where we go. Select target. Okay, let's start. So as you can see here, this is the speed of the SSD too. It's actually an old SSD. You will get faster speeds if you have a faster SSD. But as you can see, right, we have 337 megabytes per second, and read, oh, look at that, nearly 600 megabytes per second read. So if you have a faster SSD, you will be able to get faster speeds. Now, let's see what that means. So basically, this is telling me, yes, I can use 4K. I can edit 4K on this actual NAS. This speed test is telling me here, it only has one little cross there where it's actually saying the right speeds aren't fast enough, but that's the actual SSD I have in here. If you have a faster SSD or you have RAID 0, you will get faster speeds, as I said. So let's zoom in on this project and see if I can actually edit a proper project 4K with this NAS. Okay, so here is the moment of truth. The thing I've been waiting for a long time. If this NAS can edit 4K content, well, I'm sold. I'll definitely would love to buy this. I love my NAS, don't get me wrong, but you know, having just normal gigabit Ethernet is pretty slow these days. 10 gigabit Ethernet is the way to go on Thunderbolt 3. Just perfect. Now, let's scrub. That seems pretty smooth. Now, drop frames indicator is here. So, when that turns yellow, we're dropping frames. Now, I know for a fact that the MacBook Pro 15-inch cannot play back 4K content at full with color correction. The XPS 15 can do that no problems. And that's probably the difference between the two. The XPS 15 is more powerful. You will be able to play this content at full. Now let's just see, let's go to full. I do not expect this to play at all. Pretty well matched actually. You don't have to mess with it. And there you go, it is dropping frames indeed. So that's normal for a MacBook Pro. And 4K content color corrected. Here, these are adjustment layers. So it has actually been color corrected. So scrubbing at half seems very nice and smooth. Very good. This is typically how it would perform if it was on the actual hard drive itself. Very nice. Very happy with that so far. And here is the moment of truth. Will it actually play at half? Now, I know the MacBook Pro 15 will play it at half if it's on the hard drive. Can it play over Thunderbolt 3 on this NAS? And by the way, thanks to the Greek, because this is the Greek's MacBook Pro 15-inch, which I actually have to hand back now, unfortunately. I don't even have a laptop at the moment because I'm waiting for the new XPS 15 and I've sold my old one, so eagerly waiting for that to come out. But anyway, let's see. Ooh, boom! I think we have liftoff. Yes, it plays at half 4K with color correction. That's exactly how this performs if I had the media on the hard drive. So I'm very happy with that. Let's see if it will play through high resolution photos. Yes, screen, good to go. This NAS, I can safely say through Thunderbolt 3, you can edit 4K content. Now, it may depend on how compressed your footage is, but certainly in my workflow, I can't tell the difference between having my media on this actual laptop itself and on this NAS. There doesn't seem to be any latency issues. So I'm very happy with the performance of this, and it has answered my prayers. So this is definitely a buy, 100%. Full HD will handle no problems. If it's handling 4K, you got no issues whatsoever. So I'm very happy with the performance of it. And I know what my next NAS is going to be. Okay, so I think you'll agree this is fantastic product. My definite favourite, best 4-bay NAS you can get at the moment. Highly recommend it. And the only thing that makes me sad is I don't own it. So I would love to own this one. This is definitely my next purchase when I upgrade my NAS equipment. Now that I've told you the differences between the two models, let's go on to the review of the 453B.
System boot completed.
Righto, tally ho there champs. Today we're going to be having a look at this, the QNAP TS 453B 4-bay NAS. And this is a game changer. If you just want to know the best 4-bay NAS, this is it. And I will tell you why. It has some game-changing features on it. I mean, nothing comes close to this at the moment. And I am a TS453A owner, and I feel a little bit sad because mine doesn't have the features that this one has. So yeah, I would really want to get one of these. Anyway, so it's a 4-bay NAS, and I don't know how I lived without a NAS for so long. NASs are so useful, and it becomes the hub of your world. It becomes a central point for all your computers, all your devices, to back up, to sync data across all these devices, to access remotely. It becomes your home theater. They are just so useful. Now this one here would be great for small businesses, home use, and they come in at around $1,000 Australian, and I'll leave links in the description where you can buy it. I recommend M.2. They're a fantastic computer store in Australia. You can also buy it in the US for around $700 and around £700 in the UK as well. Now, prices have gone up, there's no doubt, with just computer stuff in general. But with this thing here, it is expensive, but it is well worth it. The innovations that this has compared to anything else out there is well worth the extra bit of money. So if you're into a 4-bay NAS that you can expand as well, of course, this is a great one to get. So having a look at it, it's built solid, it's black, and it has like a teal accent on the right there. It has a blank face, like a glossy blank black face. That's a mouthful. And slide off that blank face, and under there you have toolless trays, so it's easy just to pull them out, pop in the drives, no tools required, and slap it back in. Fantastic. It does have a nice aesthetic. I do like that you can't see the drive bays at the front, and that teal accent looks clean, it looks nice, it really looks modern, it's built solid, and it's not an ugly NAS that you have to hide away. So first of all, let's just get into the specs. Intel quad-core Celeron J3455, which has hardware encryption. So this is quad core. Most NASs have dual core CPUs, and because it has hardware encryption built in, that means there is no reason why you wouldn't encrypt this. This is as fast with everything encrypted, all your data encrypted, all your folders, volumes, as it is without encryption. So just encrypt everything. You're not going to get an impact in performance there. It only uses like 30 watts power, like you wouldn't even notice that in your bill. 15 watts at idle. It has an OLED screen at the front, which has capacitive touch buttons, so you can see the status of your NAS and that without having to log into your computer. You just press the buttons there. This one comes with 4 gigabytes. You can get an 8 gigabyte model. You can upgrade it yourself, or you can just get the 8 gigabyte model to start off with. Let's go on a little tour. On the front, of course, you have that OLED screen I was talking about, the capacitive buttons there. You have the power button, the LED indicator lights, you have the SD card slot and the USB 3 connection, so you can connect it straight to your computer. More about that later. USB 3, and then you have the one touch copy button where you would plug a USB drive or a SD card and you would press that and it would just copy down your data. The one thing is you have to buy a license with this to use exFAT, so yeah, would have been nice if they included it, and also would have been nice if they included the USB-C cable. That doesn't come with it either, so just something to note there. So on the back, up the top, you have the PCI expansion slot, and that's the game changer there, as well as the USB-C direct connection at the front. Two killer features, I'll get into that later. You have two microphone inputs, and yes, you can use this as a karaoke machine. You have an audio out, you have two HDMIs out, so you can connect that to your amp, your TV, you can use it as a standalone PC, home theater PC, and you get that included remote, so it's fantastic. And then you have four USB 3s on the back and two 1 gigabit Ethernet ports, Kensington security lock, and of course you have the fan at the back, which is very quiet. I don't notice it at all. The loudest thing about this is the hard drives. They're going to be the loudest things, and even then I can't really hear it that much. Every now and then I hear a search noise, and it doesn't really get hot. I've only got two hard drives in it at the moment, and I do recommend you use NAS or enterprise hard drives. So you want to use something like WD Reds, WD Gold, or WD Enterprise drives. I have a review on the WD Reds and the WD Gold. You do want something that is built for RAID. You don't want to be using consumer drives in this, so I'll leave links in the description to all those reviews of those products. So as you can see, it's chock-a-block full of features, and just comparing, say for example, QNAP and Synology, they are the two big dogs in the NAS world, and they are both great. But undoubtedly, when it comes to innovation, value for money, the features you get, QNAP is the best in that regard, no doubt. You cannot get another 4-bay NAS in this segment with as much features as this. So as I said, the game-changing features on this is at the front you have that direct connect USB-C, so you can plug the USB-C into the front of this NAS and then connect it straight to your computer. Direct connect, you don't have to go through the network or anything like that. It just connects directly. So that's a feature that pretty much only QNAP have in this segment. Also, the biggest game changer for me is that PCI Express expansion slot. So you can put 10 gigabit Ethernet card in there. You can put an M.2/10 gigabit Ethernet card in there. You can put a wireless card in there, and that just changes the game. Being able to use this wireless or being able to use this with 10 gigabit Ethernet, which will give you super fast speeds. Being able to put M.2 SSDs in there to use as cache, or it can even be used where it moves the most frequently used things to those SSDs, is an absolute game changer. Because the reality is, no matter how fast the drives are in there, SSDs or hard drives, you're going to be limited by the gigabit network. This is capable of over 200 megabytes per second read and write if it's been accessed simultaneously through both the 1 gigabyte Ethernet NICs, but it can't go any faster than that. With those 2 gigabyte Ethernet NICs, you can use it in load balancing scenarios, or you can use it as a failover. Now, 10 gigabit Ethernet will become a standard sooner or later. They are starting to introduce it into new motherboards of computers like the X299 platform. So being able to put a 10 gigabit Ethernet connection there, you'll be able to get over 600 megabytes per second read and write, providing you have the hard drives or SSDs in there fast enough. Now, 10 gigabit interface can actually theoretically transfer nearly a gigabyte per second, but with overheads and so on, you're probably just over 600 megabytes per second is probably about right. So it's pretty much limited by the speed of your hard drives in there, or if you do have SSDs in there, you're going to be getting over 600 megabytes per second read and write, which for a NAS is like fantastic, and it's a game changer. That's why I want this NAS so much. I want to put a 10 gigabit Ethernet connection to it and it will just fly. Now, it would take me hours to actually go through every single feature of this. So it runs on QTS, which is fantastic. They've upgraded that and they've upgraded the interface. It's much more streamlined. It's easier to use. And the things you can do with this NAS, it will take me like hours to tell you everything about this NAS, but you can use hybrid backup sync, backup stuff to your NAS, and then back it up to Dropbox or Google Drive or Amazon, stuff like that. You can use it as a surveillance station, so you can hook up IP cameras to it. You can use it as a media server, Plex, Kodi. You have that remote, of course. You can use it to streaming, transcoding, HD content, and because of those HDMIs on the back, you can hook it up to a 4K TV and watch 4K content. You can use stuff like QSync and automatically can sync your data across multiple devices. You can use it as a VPN. You can use it as a web server, so you can have your own website hosted on it, virtual machines, so you can run Linux Station, you can run multiple operating systems on this, and you can connect to these operating systems on the go wherever you got an internet connection. You can run Windows, Linux, all sorts of operating systems. You can use it as standalone PC. You can use it as a podcast generator to host all your podcast, email server, Azure storage. You can use it as a torrent client. It's so much things, I cannot cover it all. You can even play games on this thing and use it as an emulator too. So there's nothing this can't do. And you get that future-proof connection with the PCI Express slot. You get the direct connection, you get a super solid storage and backup solution and hub for all your devices, anywhere, off-site, on-site, and you can even access and backup stuff from your phone as well. You have all the QNAP apps on your phone. I'm sorry this video took so long, but I've only just touched the surface, and if you're after a 4-bay NAS, this is the best one to get. It's future-proof, and I definitely want one. I would love to do a lot more videos on it, but this one is not mine. This has got to go back. But if you want the best 4-bay NAS out there, this is the one, and this is the one I have my eye on. So if this video was helpful, give me a thumbs up there. If you want to know anything about it, leave comments down there. I'd like to really thank you guys for watching, and until next time guys, tally ho.